So, Chris, 2-stroke or 4-stroke?
4-stroke.
Why?
Why? I just feel safer on a 4-stroke. It just feels a bit more, I don't know, like I'm more in control of it. It's probably because it's lacking a little bit of power, because on the Excf turns it definitely hasn't got quite the punch of a 2-stroke or the 350, which is probably what makes it feel so comfortable and sort of confidence inspiring, I think.
Craig?
Same for me. I mean, I'm not at home on a 2-stroke anyway. You know, I got my 300 just to do Romaniacs, and I've not ridden a 2-stroke since. So I must admit, I slinked out the way this morning and got on the 4-stroke. But I'm surprised, actually. I am surprised today, going around this really tight wood loop, that for me it's a 4-stroke. Because, you know, on paper, everybody would say get on a 2-stroke, get on a 2-stroke. But this, like we were saying before, this seems between gears, and you know, it's either all or nothing. And that you can point it where you want it, you can tell it what to do, and it'll do it.
Okay, next question. 2021 KTMs, how do they feel?
Really nice, yeah. Not that dissimilar to some recent KTMs I've ridden, to be fair. You know, ergonomically the same. You know, the same sort of width, and everything feels, you know, brakes, clutch. You know, it all feels very similar. No massive changes. It used to be years ago. You know, from one year to another year, you'd have a completely different bike, but nowadays it doesn't really seem that, does it? It's just very subtle little things that are just making them slightly easier to ride, maybe. Power delivery is beautiful, spot on. There's no cutting out. There's no sort of, you know, weird. I know it's not a carburetor, but no carburation issues. You know, fuel injection issues. Just, I don't think I've stalled it once actually. Yeah, lovely. Yeah, fair play. Really nice. Yep.
That's a good point, actually. I haven't stalled this all day.
No.
So, Craig, what 2021s?
Yeah, I mean, I've sort of, this has been a funny year this year, hasn't it? And so I did, you know, in January I was all 4-stroke every day for a couple of weeks, and on the big Husky, and then of course on the Honda, jumped on the little Honda 250, and to be fair, you know, with lockdown and no events, I've not really done a lot, and nowhere near as much riding as I've normally done, but the riding I have done, I've jumped from one bike to the next bike to the next bike, and actually I've got on this today and felt at home. You know, I felt entirely at home. Some minor differences, and I think that's quite telling, is that off camera 2 minutes ago we were having this exact conversation. You know, we were talking about the feel of the clutch lever, and you know, go back 5 years and it was like this bike's this and this is this, and now we're talking about those little tiny little things, really.
Yeah.
And it's all preference, isn't it? It's personal preference for it.
Good. Also, these two bikes, brand spanking new this morning out of the box. Just how well set up are they from a you know, ready to race?
I wouldn't say ready to race. Maybe I shouldn't say that. I'd say they're definitely ready to ride by anyone that's starting out to middle to top clubman. I think, I mean, on this little loop here, it is actually freshly graded. There isn't any bumps on it, and the moisture in it is perfect for grip. So it's really flattering us and the bikes. If this was, you know, like the other loop, which is really bumpy, I think you'd suddenly realise that the suspension is very soft. And then maybe you know, maybe some other bits of the bike, but like gearing maybe, but. For this track with no bumps, you know, they feel amazing, because it's not particularly fast, it's very tight, we're not getting out of 3rd or 4th gear, so it's not, you know, what's our maximum speeds, what?
20, flat out.
20?
Yeah,
25?
maybe 25 when we see.
It's only when you start hitting bumps at speed, you know, where you actually start to feel whether the suspension's one thing or another. You know, this is you know, pretty flattering, this little loop for these bikes. So
yeah, and I think that's probably the answer that a guy that spends his life tweaking suspension should give. And for me, jumping off what I've been doing this year onto this as a brand. I mean, everything's orange or white when you go to, and now red when you go to an event anyway. And I think these are the closest you can get to that ready to race out of all of the sort of models and everything else. Yeah, you're right. Today they've kind of flattered us, and you've done a lot of work on the track. and it's lovely conditions. But what we did just note there, going back to the suspension, is we've used all of the travel like here at 20 mile an hour.
With no bumps.
With no bumps. And I think, yeah, so the point is, yesterday they were ready to race around this loop.
Yeah.
But again, I mean, we're talking expert level, really, aren't we? For you to take this now,
Yeah.
I mean, what we were saying, you've been on the phone to some big names this morning talking about, can I get this for the bike brand new out of the box? And we've said this as well, could we probably change second to third? Because I was kind of between gears. That's me, you know, faster lad to be in third gear and having it. But yeah, I think for 95% of the racers,
Yeah.
probably there.